In today's video, I interview Jennifer Santinello, a mother who was conned by a cadaver dog handler brought into the search of her missing daughter. Layla Santinello, 22 years old, vanished on June 27th of 2023. Her daughter Layla was last seen in Kingsport, Tennessee, behind the AmeriCorps Hotel. She was wearing a white tank top, black leggings, and no shoes. In this video, Jennifer explains the situation with the cadaver dog handler, how he ran off with $7,000 that was raised to help search for Layla. I helped Jennifer search for her daughter shortly after she went missing. As the months passed, Jennifer began losing hope until a cadaver dog handler offered her a glimmer of it. Unfortunately, that hope was exploited. Layla has a daughter named Nova Grace, and Jennifer has been taking care of her granddaughter since her daughter's disappearance, searching tirelessly for her missing daughter. Please consider donating to Jennifer's GoFundMe. She has been boots on the ground ever since.
6 months ago or so, I met a really amazing, I want to say medium, but she's more of a remote viewer is what she considers herself. And she's really, really awesome. And I really liked her from the start. She had a lot of really great insight. And immediately one of the things that she did was put a video out asking other people with the same talents or similar talents to also do cold readings on Layla's case and kind of collaborate with her as far as the remote viewing was concerned. And I thought that was really beautiful, and it gave me a lot of trust in her because she wasn't all about me, mine, this is my viewing, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of that in the social media true crime world, and it's really unsightly and makes things difficult. So I get with her, we start working together, working things out. I'm going over like case details and all sorts of things with her. And she says, I need a cadaver dog. If I'm gonna do this, I wanna do it right. Let's start looking for cadaver dogs. And we do a lot of research about like what kind of dogs need to be used and what is it gonna cost. And we start coming up with figures so that we can fundraise to make it happen. But I don't want to even start doing that until I have a dog that says to me, I'm willing to come, I'm willing to help. These are the days that I can do it. So all summer, she would send Opie a list of places to call. And Opie would call and either people weren't interested or people were, we need to be called out by law enforcement. There were a lot of different reasons that we were getting turned down, but we were consistently getting turned down for months. And finally, I actually hadn't talked to Kirsten in a couple of weeks. I had other stuff going on. And my granddaughter, Layla's daughter, had gone out of town for about 4 weeks. She was scheduled to go out of town. So I was planning on sort of like revamping Layla's case and getting her pushed out into the media again and like using my free time for all of that. I got about a week into that and I get a random text message from Kirsten, and she says, I found us a dog. Here's the guy's number, give him a call, let's see what we can set up. So I immediately start talking to this gentleman, and things happen so quickly. And I do believe this is by design. This is how you end up getting conned, is that things move very quickly. So I speak to him. According to Kirsten, he had sent her documentation of his licenses, and he sounds like he sounds like he knows what he's talking about. And he's like, hey, I can be out there by this Friday. It's going to cost, I don't know. First, he came up with a number that was a little bit lower. And at the end of our conversating and going over everything that we wanted searched, he came up with a number about $5,000 for 5 days of searching, $7,000 if we need to add a few more days. So I immediately start fundraising, and I had never raised this much money so fast to do something for Layla's case. Like, it was like a God thing. It felt like God was making it all happen, and it was all happening very, very fast. And within a few days, we had almost enough money to do it. He was planning on coming out that Friday. We were getting all set up, and then the first red flag was when he didn't leave to come on Friday. He actually didn't leave to travel until Sunday. And, you know, he gave me several different reasons as to why. Initially, he said he was bringing 2 dogs and 2 men and himself. And then that changed and it was 3 dogs and 1 man. And we're leaving tomorrow, you know, go ahead and send me some money for travel. I sent almost the entire amount up front, which was probably stupid. I was like $400 short of the entire $5,000 that I sent, and they headed out. Monday morning, when we met him, it was him, another guy, and just 1 dog. And I remember when I got out of the car, he didn't look at me. That was like another weird sign. Like, he didn't look me in the eye. He didn't walk over and shake my hand. He barely acknowledged that I was there. And that was like disconcerting. So we get to walking into the direction of the woods and we're kind of chatting, and Opie asks about the other dogs because there were supposed to be 3. And we only have 1, and he goes on to say that one of his dogs, he had been working for 2 months straight, and he felt it best to leave them home. And the other dog, the one that he had supposedly borrowed, had grown a goiter or something during the travel, and they had to leave him back at the hotel, and they felt bad about having to leave him at the hotel all day, but there was no way he was going to be able to work, and just this really long, elaborate story. And this guy was so believable. That's like the even crazier thing, is like he legitimately felt like he knew what he was doing. We go and we search with this dog for the day. I don't know a whole lot about these search dogs. I'm assuming that the things that he's doing are correct. He had sent us a contract. He had sent lists of rules and things that we can and cannot do as far as interacting with the dogs. And like everything seemed very, very legit, but there were these like weird little red flags that kept popping up. But of course, I'm so hopeful. I needed this so badly. I needed to clear these areas so badly that I was just, I don't know, awestruck. I don't know. So that was Monday. Monday night, he did do some investigative type stuff. Now, he told me he's not a private investigator, but he does like to ask questions and look into things and try and figure out the best places to go with the dogs and blah, 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 blah. So he really starts getting into the nitty gritty. I give him some information that like I don't put out publicly, and some possible names based on mostly rumors and private investigations and stuff like that. He starts contacting people. He starts contacting people and ends up contacting people that we really shouldn't have contacted, because it could have caused issues as far as the actual law enforcement investigation. And I don't find out about that until like that we had gotten that close to the actual investigation until a few days later. So now Tuesday rolls around, it's cold, it's raining. He and his friend take the dog out and they go to some of these places that we were wanting them to go. One of them was there was a couple private residences that we were trying to get permissions to search. And he thought he might have a chance at this one address because he believed that it had been sold and the person who was living there when Layla went missing was no longer there. So he went to go and like walk around the outside of the property and see if like he could, you know, find someone and talk to someone. And he ends up getting run off the property. And he sends us like pictures and all this stuff, like, you know what, we were run off the property. I think there might have been a weapon involved, and it was craziness. Well, we found out later that he was he was at the wrong property. He was next door to the actual property that we were needing to have searched, and the whole drama thing, it was crazy. It was weird. I don't know. So now on Tuesday, now he has been here for 2 days. I've sent him $4,600. Tuesday, all day long, he starts dropping these comments about not having any money. being out of money. We're almost out of money. We're almost out of money. We need more money. Da, 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 da. And in my head, I'm like, it's only been a couple of days. What did you do with $4,600? Like, okay. So later on that night, he and I have a conversation on the phone where he was saying that he had gone to the AmeriCorps and he had talked to some people over there, and he ended up like handing out a little bit of cash for information. And I was like, well, I'm totally fine with that. Like, I'll reimburse you tomorrow, and I'll bring you the other $400 that I owe, you know, when I meet you tomorrow. At this point, he's wanting to drag a lake. He's wanting to drag a lake. He tells me that he's contacted a local and got us a net to drag the lake. We just need a boat. So I put posts on Facebook. I need a boat. We want to drag this lake, blah, 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 blah. That's how Stephen Crabtree ended up getting involved. And he dropped everything in the middle of the week and drove all the way from like Nashville area just to come and have a boat for us so we could drag the lake. And this is when I'm supposed to meet him to pick up the drag net and meet Crabtree and do all the things and pay him the rest of the money or whatever on Wednesday. Wednesday morning, I get a call from him and he basically, the first couple of calls I got were investigative calls having to do with someone we were investigating, looking into. The next phone call after that, because I was like, oh, it's 10 o'clock. You're supposed to be meeting the guy with the net, and I'll come meet you. You know, where are we going to meet at? And he said, I don't know. I'll call you right back. And when he called me back, it was about an hour later, and he was like, we're headed back to the house. We're going back to Alabama. And I was like, what? At this point, I had also sent money to Kirsten to fly in because she wanted to be able to work with the dog. And she's like getting on a plane. I've got Stephen Crabtree like en route from Nashville. I've got all these people coming in to help, and he leaves and goes to Alabama. To which I'm like completely shocked. I remember just like completely losing it. I was a nervous wreck. I'm like, how am I supposed to explain this to people who donated to get him out here? That we paid this money and he was only here for 2 days, and like, what am I supposed? So that's when he starts saying, oh, I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back in a few days. I'm going to go home, regroup, give my dog some rest, and I'm going to come back in a few days. So now I have Stephen Crabtree who came in and he did some searching. He did some water searching with sonar. And then he did some searching of some properties with his drone. Interesting story. That property that we thought Andrew had been chased off of, we sent Crabtree to go do a drone scan of the land. And when he was just finishing up getting his data, getting his footage, the drone, his controller like turned to snow and static, and all at the same time the drone fell out of the sky and busted. And we don't know why. We don't know, was it one of those devices that scrambles things? Like, we have no idea why that happened. Around the same time that that happened, the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office pulled up at the property we were looking at with a black SUV that may or may not have been the TBI. They didn't say anything to Crabtree. Like, he ran onto the property, grabbed his drone, and ran back to his truck and left, and they didn't stop him and talk to him. But it was just weird that all of that happened at the same time. We had also gotten wind that the cops had showed up at another place of interest right around the same time. It was crazy. It was hard trying to put all of that stuff together. So now that night, Kirsten had come in, Crabtree was in town Wednesday. So Thursday was the day that Crabtree did the drone scans, and then he went home. I had Kirsten here for the next few days, and Andrew came. Bullhorn Betty showed up Thursday. Was it Thursday or Friday? I think it was Thursday, and she was on her way home Friday. And she was wonderful. She was very helpful because Kirsten wanted to do some footwork that like I wasn't super excited about. So I was very happy that Andrew came and saved the day. And then Friday, Kirsten and we went into town and we sat and just like put it out there that we would be at this one Starbucks, and if anyone had any information to come and see us and talk to us and blah, blah, blah. So we did that Friday. On Saturday, we were on at this point, Andrew had sent me back, it was like $400, somewhere around there. I don't remember the exact amount. It was like something ridiculous, like $423 or something like that Friday morning. And I was like, oh, okay. And in the memo, it had just said like, leftover from trip. And I was like, oh, okay. That's interesting. I thought he was coming back. You know, I told him if he was coming back, like he wouldn't have to send any money back. Like what? I was confused. It was confusing. I don't know. Now on Saturday, my son is driving me and Kirsten to the airport to drop her off. And on our way there, like 10 minutes before we hit the airport, Stephen Crabtree sends me all of this information. Somebody had dug deep on Andrew Bravata and found out that he is a whole con artist. Allegedly, right? Allegedly a whole con artist going back over a decade. And that he specifically targets vulnerable peoples in need of missing persons rescues and it started with veterans. He started ripping off organizations that helped veterans who needed, you know, homeless veterans and just people who needed help, veterans who needed help. And he stole a bunch of money from an organization and ended up not only getting away with it, but he ended up being able to discredit the organization and ruin their name. And then he got very lucky there, because in the following cases where he ripped people off or conned people, he could then show that, oh, well, I'll ruin your life. If you go to the media, if you tell, I'll ruin your life. Look, I've already done it. I ruined their life. He tried it with me. He's still trying it with me, technically. He has threatened, I'll send you the screenshots. It's really bad. Like, the things that he has said to us. He wants us to die. It'll all go away. If I just pull the videos offline, it'll all go away. And I almost didn't want to, like, go this hard as far as like exposing him, because that's not what I do. It's not what I want to do. I'm not here to expose people. But I had seen where he was commenting on the Emma Baum case. That's right, Emma Baum, the pregnant lady in Indiana, out of Gary, Emma Baum. I've got the name right? And he was saying, you know, if her family needs our help, this, that, and I was like, no. Like, my heart sunk. And I said, no, you're not doing this to any other families. If I keep quiet, that just leaves room for you to go out and do this again and hurt somebody else. It was absolutely devastating. Like, when we found out, all of the red flags came back into view. The fact that it all happened so fast and was so... It was a big whirlwind. And of course, in grief, your executive function dysfunctions, right? You have a hard time focusing and a hard time making decisions and a hard time just in general. Starting a fresh investigation with the dogs and being out there, it was like going right back to the beginning. It was all of the brand new stages of grief. Everything like just came flooding back as if I was experiencing it all for the first time over again. I pretty much re-traumatized myself. And by the end of the week, I was additionally traumatized. You're victimized and violated and taken advantage of. And you're already so broken and wounded, it makes you want to give up. Like, why am I still fighting when I just keep getting knocked down? But it's because it's your kid and you can't stop fighting. So, and it's embarrassing. I had people that love and care about Layla that helped me to pay for this. And I felt like I didn't do my due diligence and I didn't look deep enough and I ignored the red flags and I shouldn't have, like, this extreme sense of shame and responsibility. It's been really hard just trying to, like, process all of it.
I mean, it's not your fault, but, this guy should be stopped.
Yeah.
If he's going to other families, and, I can help you.
Yes.
You're going to be in the same situation.
And after I came out with everything and put it out there, people that grew up in his hometown reached out to me to tell me stories about how they had been ripped off by him. People close to him had reached out apologizing, and they were like, he's a different beast. He's not just like a scammer. Like, he's a professional con artist. That is why he was so easy to believe. That is why you fell right into it, even being seasoned at this. At this point, you've been doing this a long time. You should know better. But when it's somebody who's that good, I don't know. And again, like, the way everything happened, it felt like it was all happening for a reason. It felt like a God thing, like the way that it all came together perfectly. And then I think, like, who's to say that it isn't the way that it was supposed to happen, right? Like, okay, this awful thing happened, but we did make strides that I can't really talk about publicly, but we did make investigative strides that we would not have otherwise made. We do still now need to clear those same areas that we went and cleared with him, because his dog apparently is not certified. He is not a certified handler. He duped us. Yeah.
And how do you, moving forward, I know you were telling me on the phone that you felt just, like, not like giving up, but like just down, really down. How have you felt?
Yeah,
in the past few weeks?
Like I said, it's being re-traumatized. Even without being conned, it was re-traumatizing. Like, even if at the end of the week Andrew was never discovered to not be who he said he was and all that stuff, it was still, like, fully re-traumatizing, to the point where, like, my nervous system was a wreck. Like, I was a wreck. And I had to, like, pull it all together really fast because I had Thanksgiving coming up and then Nova Grace was coming home. And, like, it's been a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, a lot of frustration. And yes, there have been a lot of moments where I have been so down that I simply wanted to give up. Yes.
And talk a little bit about Nova Grace for the viewers that don't know who she is, and how that's affected your life too.
So, Nova Grace is my missing daughter's daughter. She is 3 years old. She'll be 4 in the spring. And she is an amazing little girl. Everybody loves her. She's a light in the darkness for sure. She keeps me grounded 100%. Like, I can't lose myself and focus on the bad stuff because I've got to be focused on her. It's been hard on her as well. Like, she's the person in this entire situation outside of Layla herself that will be affected the most, right? Like, I need answers for her. She doesn't deserve to have to feel this uncertainty, this not knowing that I do. That's, the other half of why I fight so hard. Like, I fight for Layla 110% first and foremost, but I fight for Nova too because she needs answers. A few months back, she finally started asking where her mom is. And it was a lot. She just looked at me one day and was like, "Where's my mom?" And I was a little distracted. We were getting ready to make breakfast. And I thought I didn't hear her right. I thought she was asking for like a spoon or knife or something. And I was like, oh, you know, you just had it. And I turned around and she looked dead at me and she was like, no, where is my mommy? And I just froze for a minute because I wasn't prepared for the question. I didn't know what I was going to say. Like, what do you say? She's only 3. And I just paused for a moment, trying to come up with something. And she says, Mommy's lost. We don't know where she is, right? We can't find her? And I said, no, you're right. We don't know where she is. We haven't been able to find her. And she went, aw, I lost my mommy. Which, of course, completely shattered my heart. And then in the next breath, she was fine again. And, you know, she was chopping mushrooms for the eggs. That's what it was. She had a little blue plastic knife and she was chopping mushrooms for the... So in the next breath, she was like, chop, chop, chop. And it just dropped the entire... And I had to excuse myself because now I'm in tears. And I went into the bathroom. I called Opie at work. And I was like, you're not going to believe what just happened. And I cried and he cried. And he's at work. I'm in the bathroom. She's cutting mushrooms with a plastic blue knife. And we're hysterical crying. And so I gave it a little bit of time because I figured she would bring it up again at some point. Because I felt like I failed completely trying to like have that like give the explanation, and she had moved on from it pretty quickly. So a day or two later she brought it up again as we were getting into the car, because on the car window I have a decal of Layla and like all of her information. So we were getting into the car and she said something about, you know, mommy's gone, we don't know where she is. And I said, no baby, we don't. You're right. We do not know where your mommy is. But listen, kiddo, you're going to be okay because Gigi and Poppy love you. And we're going to take care of you. And no matter what happens, we have you. You are going to be okay. We're all going to be okay. And she said, oh, okay. And when the first week she was in New Jersey with her godmother, she brought it up and she said they were coloring or something, and she looked at her and she said, I lost my mommy. I don't know where she is. But it's okay. It's gonna be okay.
And are you working? I remember that you had mentioned that they had let you go for some reason that was just...
Work. So I was working when Layla vanished. I was working a part-time job and I was working opposite days from Opie so that somebody was always home with the baby. And I was very blessed that I had this job that it took 4 hours to do the job. I was cleaning. I was doing industrial cleaning, like bathrooms and offices and stuff like that. And it took 4 hours to get the job done, but I had an 8-hour period in which I could utilize to do it. So if I had to go and clean like part of it for 2 hours and then go do something for the baby or go to an appointment, I could come back and finish that kind of stuff. Like it was malleable. I could utilize. It was a good job for somebody with a kid at home, right? But then, you know, my kid goes missing. And mind you, this is a job where you're by yourself, you're scrubbing toilets or cleaning offices. You're all alone with your thoughts for the entirety of the time. And I would get emotional and I would be crying through my cleaning. Not that that should matter. I'm perfectly capable of cleaning toilets in tears. Like, you know, I don't know who it was bothering because like hardly anyone ever saw me, but I feel like somebody there took a disliking to me just in a general sense, because what it boiled down to, also, again, you're executive, when you're grieving like that and you're experiencing a day-to-day trauma and grief on top of it all, Like, your executive function is dysfunctioning. So you're forgetful, you forget things, you're not functioning at your normal capacity. I remember a couple of times I left a spray bottle in the upstairs, like, so there's like 2 areas. There's the office area, and then there's like the plant area, right? And in the office area, there's like an upstairs kitchen, and then the offices and the bathrooms are downstairs. And in order to go upstairs and do the cleaning in the cafeteria, you have to like carry everything up by hand and then carry it all back down. So a couple of times I accidentally left the cleaning spray sitting on the counter in the kitchen, and forgot to grab it on my way back down the steps to put everything away. I got reprimanded for that a couple of times. And then apparently somebody from the offices was inside the plant area one day, and they went to go and wash their hands. They were in the ladies' bathroom. They went to go wash their hands, and the soap thing had like yay much space. Like, it wasn't completely full. I must have missed it. And they were complaining to some of the other plant employees that, oh, you know, God, she missed this, and she keeps missing things and forgetting things, and it was complaint like, and somebody actually stuck up for me and was like, she's going through so much. Like, is there soap in there? There's soap in there. It's not like it's completely empty. Like, she's going through a lot. Yeah, she's gonna not see everything occasionally. It's not the end of the world. Plus, like, she cleans the best out of all of them. Anyway, so then it came down to this. I came into work one day, and I was contracted in by somebody who owned a separate business. I can't believe I'm talking about this. She's going to be so mad. And so we were paid by the plant. She was paid by the plant, and then she paid us. She was a separate entity from the plant. So I'm on my way in one day, and she's in the parking lot for whatever reason. I stopped to talk to her. I talked to her for 10, 15 minutes, and I'm wearing my normal, what I wear. Like, I always either wear overalls or leggings and a t-shirt. I'm cleaning toilets. Like, it's not a fashion show. Like, I don't know, whatever. And it was the middle of summer. It was hot. And I stood there. I talked to her for 10, 15 minutes, and then I go in and I start cleaning. I'm in the women's bathroom inside the plant area. I'll never forget this. And the phone rings. It's my boss. I pick it up, and she's like, Jennifer, you need to go. Not, are you wearing shorts? What are you wearing? You need to go home right now and change out of those shorts and put pants on. And I was like, I'm so sorry, but I'm not wearing shorts. I was just outside talking to you. I'm not wearing shorts. I wouldn't wear shorts. We're not allowed to wear shorts. I don't know what's happening right now. So then she wants to argue. You're wearing shorts. I did just see you. You're definitely wearing shorts, and I should have caught it before you came inside. And I was like, ma'am, I am absolutely not wearing, I'm wearing a pair of leggings. I said they come up a little bit over my ankle, but I would not consider them shorts. They're not even capris, really. Like, so then I'm like, I'm gonna put the phone down and take a picture. So I'm having this conversation, and another plant employee comes out of the bathroom stall. And she's like, what is going on? I'm like, I don't know. I'm being accused of wearing shorts and told that I need to go home and change into pants. And the plant employee looks at me and she's like, you're wearing pants. And the plant employee that I'm talking to is wearing the exact same outfit as me. Leggings and a men's t-shirt. So I put the phone on the floor, and she and I stand together and we take a picture that I sent to my boss. And I'm like, I am wearing this, and it is clearly pants, and she is also wearing the same exact outfit. I don't understand what is going on right now. So I ended up finishing out the day, and later the next shift that I had was like 3 days later, And my boss never said anything to me until like the night before I was supposed to go back to work. And she was like, I need you to meet me. I need the keys. I need to make an extra set. She had some excuse. And I was like, okay, whatever. Like, where do we need to meet? And she was like, oh, you know, she gave me a spot to meet or whatever. So then Opie and I get to talking. And I was like, you know, if I'm getting fired, I would really rather not go meet her. Like, I go out of my way to do all that. Like, so I ended up messaging her, and I was like, listen, if you're firing me, I can just have Opie bring the key to you. Like, it's whatever. So then she tells me that they had problems with my, just basically what I wore to work was the issue. The biggest issue was what I was wearing to work, even though it was what every other female employee wore to work. I don't know. It was like this whole crazy dramatic.
Seems like jealousy.
Something was going on. Yeah. Something was going on. I don't know exactly what. I didn't do a terrible, like I'm a mom. I can clean some toilets and some offices. It's not like I was doing a terrible job. You know what I didn't do? I didn't throw people under the bus. I didn't complain when other employees didn't fully complete their jobs. I just made up the difference and kept going because that's the kind of person that I am. But if I ever made a mistake, good Lord, you never heard the end of it. Like, it was a whole, I don't know, it was like being back in high school. You know, it's ridiculous. But yeah, that's how that went. I had been, you know, I had been emotional on the job. I had forgotten a spray bottle a couple of times, and I had pissed off somebody up front as far as what I wore to work. And they were, and okay, so here's the thing. My boss ended up telling me that they didn't want me to come back. And I feel like that wasn't entirely true, because she then asked me to fill in for her multiple times over the course of the last year. Well, if the plant didn't want me back, if the people at the plant didn't want me to clean, why are you having me come in and, why are you asking me if I want to come and help out and clean and make some money? Like, I don't know. Drama fest. I don't know.
It's better that you left those people.
It is a lot better that I left, absolutely. Because then I could really focus on the search efforts and Nova Grace and doing all of the things. And, you know, it's just hard because it gets difficult financially. These things are expensive. I have to answer questions all day, every day. People are, do you have a PI? Well, we did, but they're expensive, so we don't use him anymore because it is so expensive. You cannot imagine. Even our PI was wonderful, and and if I needed him today, like if something happened and I needed him to look into it, he would absolutely do it and bill me later, and I could make payments. But it's expensive, even when they cut you breaks, even when they make it like a discount, like even when they give you the payment options, it's expensive. People do not do PI work for the fun of it. They do PI work for a living because they have to provide for their families. So there's so many things that come up and things that you have to worry about and things that you have to spend money on. And I mean, paper to make flyers, and my printer broke. And so now I have to have them made up at this. It's a lot. It's tricky. You know, you want to support and respect and believe in the law enforcement that is, you know, tasked with finding your child. I do not want to be hateful towards them. I do not want to blame them. The reality of the situation is, and a lot of grieving parents, understandably so, but a lot of grieving parents, they need somebody to blame, and it always ends up being law enforcement. In some situations, it's completely warranted. In other situations, just because we cannot physically see their actions doesn't mean they're not doing anything. So I try to hold on to the faith and belief that they are doing what is necessary, but also as civilians, we don't know like what all red tape goes into acquiring warrants and what exactly do you need for reasonable doubt. And they may be looking at a situation that they want to get in there and look for evidence, but they need reasonable doubt for the warrant and haven't come across it yet. Like, there's so much red tape when it comes to law enforcement and these investigations. And it makes it go very, very slow. And we're so used to watching movies and TV and even true crime documentaries where it's all lined up, bing, 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 boom for us, but it doesn't actually happen that way. So, you know, they don't tell me a whole lot. I know what their current possible working theory is, but I don't know exactly who is involved. I don't know any specific locations. The locations have not been verified for me. I have a handful of locations in my head that I would like searched with actual cadaver dogs based on my own investigating, but I still don't have any kind of, I don't know. And then it's hard because even if they were to verify, like, yes, these are locations of interest for us, even then you have to consider the fact that they're just going based off what they've been told too. We went through the whole thing with the marble slab where we were investigating from that standpoint for months, and it turned out to be not a valid sighting. And that put everything back. And it's like, I had put so much belief into they know what they're doing, and she was definitely at the marble slab. And then when I found out that that wasn't true, like, it broke me. It broke my heart. I had a whole mental breakdown. I know I talked to you when that happened because it was a disastrous, crazy thing to have to deal with. And then I was like, okay, well, you know, I have to remember that just because they're law enforcement doesn't mean they're always correct. And investigations sort of grow and bloom and go off in different directions. And you have to figure this out. And then there's 50 more questions that lead you in this direction. And it's part of the way that it all works. And it's frustrating and difficult. So even if they were to sit me down right now and give me everything that they've got, I would still have that question in the back of my head, like, okay, but they don't have any physical evidence. This is just what they've put together based on witnesses and talking and interviews. And I've done that. I've got 3 different possibilities based on my own investigating and my PI's investigating and other people's investigating, that without any physical evidence, I can't choose which one to believe. So, yeah, when you are sharing, if let's say, you know, your young adult person goes missing tomorrow and you're sharing, always put the facts down. She was last seen here on this day, what city, what state, and exactly like her hair, eyes, weight, height, like all of those things. Always conclude whatever it is you're saying with those facts, because that makes it more shareable. And when people are looking to gain that information, they don't want to bother you with all the questions. They would just like to have the facts so that they can turn around and help you share. That's very important. It's something that took me a minute to figure out. Also, there is no 48-hour rule. Do not let law enforcement make you believe that you need to wait 48 hours to report your adult loved one missing. You do not have to wait 48 hours. They can start the investigation as soon as you realize something is off. Do not wait. You can always apologize to your person later. I wanted to hold off. I was worried about Layla's reaction. I was afraid she would be angry with me. I was afraid she would hide. I don't know. I got myself all turned around with it, and I wanted to like push because I didn't want to upset her. And at the end of the day, we did lose valuable time because I didn't try to report it sooner. And then we lost even more valuable time and leads and possible, what's the word? Evidence, yes. And possible evidence. Because initially, we didn't think that there was any foul play either. Like, when I say we, I say myself and law enforcement. Like, we concluded for our own reasons that, you know, she probably was just holed up somewhere with friends or with a guy, and she would pop back up. And It took probably 3 or 4 weeks for it to like sink in that she wasn't popping back up and something was very, very wrong. Act quickly. You can apologize later. The other thing is media coverage. Start reaching out to your local news early on, as soon as you can. Nag them, beg them. A candlelight vigil or any kind of vigil brings the news media to you. Like as long as you're, getting enough like community support and community rolling around, they will show up because it's something to talk about, and that's how you can start getting your missing person shared. Do every interview, live stream, podcast, do all of them. Christmas is harder this year than it was last year. Last spring I started going to counseling, and my counselor made this comment. It was right around Mother's Day, I believe, about, this being a year of first for me. And that threw me off completely because I hadn't been looking at it that way. I was still carrying this hope that these aren't first, these are lasts. Like, we're never doing this again. We're going to find our girl and she'll be back and everything will go back to normal. And so when she said that to me, it kind of like, I don't know, it didn't settle very well, because every holiday last year, like, it was hard without her. But I didn't think for a second last Christmas that we wouldn't find her. Like, I still had this incredibly strong belief that, I don't know if it was denial, shock, I don't know. But, this year, it's very heavy. The weight of it is so much more. I'm no longer in shock. Now I'm like full-blown grieving and longing and missing. And it's hard for me to look at, pictures of past Christmases with her.
If there was one thing you could tell Layla, what would it be?
I love you. Oh.
We'll find her, even if it takes a long time.
It's hard. She's supposed to be here,
Yeah.
She's supposed to be. Nova Grace is just learning what Christmas is and figuring out, like, who Santa is and the whole point of all the things, and she's supposed to be here for that. These are the years that she's going to start remembering, and her mom's just gone. And that's... I've had to kind of watch her, like, lose that memory.
Mm-hmm.
Layla is on pictures on the refrigerator, and, Nova would come over and name everybody in the pictures, and here's Mommy, and over time, she started, like, skipping over Layla's picture altogether, and I would have to, hey, you forgot Mommy, and, like, it's like she's just slowly forgetting who she is. It's just a lot. It's just so much.
Yeah. I can't even.
I always say that she made me a mom, and then she taught me how to be one.
No.
I wouldn't be, she challenged me. She always challenged me. I had to change who I am as a human to mother her properly. And I don't even think I ever really got it right as hard as I tried.
She was your first.
Yeah.
How old were you?
I was 20.
Mm-hmm.
I was 20 when she was born. Her dad was 21. We were young, unhealed, crazy kids. Not ready to be parents at all whatsoever. And Layla had to grow up with me. By the time I was 25 and she was starting kindergarten, I was like the youngest PTA member.
Yeah. No. I love the pictures of her when she was little.
I know.
They're so cute. And Nova looks so much like her.
I know. That makes it hard sometimes too.
Yeah. Oh, you're an amazing grandmother.
I try. I just want her to be happy and thriving, and I just don't want this to hurt her. I know it will, and there's not a lot I can do about that. But I try to protect her from a lot of it if I can.
Mm-hmm. You're doing good.
Trying. Thank you, friend. We went and covered the town with flyers. We dropped probably 400 flyers everywhere in Kingsport. We covered cars, we covered parking lots of hotels. We went downtown and put flyers every darn where. We went to different neighborhoods. But to do that, I mean, it's costly. It was like $400 that we dropped that day on 400 flyers, between like the gas, having the flyers printed. It was freezing cold, so I brought like I went and got a big thing of hot chocolate so that we weren't freezing our butts off out there. You know, it's everything is so costly. I think that is something that people don't really think about. Oh, you don't need money, but you do. Now, I have gotten some flyers donated from time to time, but it doesn't always work out that way. We don't always get that lucky, and when you want to do something and you have a deadline, you just have to bite the bullet and pay for stuff. So, I would like to do that flyer thing at least once a month. You know, I just can't always afford to do it.
I'm very thankful that all of you are here, so we'll pray. Dear Father God, I'm so humbly coming before you in another day of prayer, asking you on behalf of Layla and Helene for answers to where these two girls are. And we know in your word that you say where two or more are gathered in agreement, Lord, that you hear our prayers. And there are so many people that love these two girls so very much. And we know that you hear our prayers. And right now it seems like the darkness is winning. It seems like evil has taken over and just will not let go, Lord. But we know that you are bigger than that and that you are the light. And we're just begging for your light in their situations, Lord. I just beg you to please give us the answers we need. Please just ease our hearts. Please be with Jennifer and Opie and their family, Lord. I don't know all their names, but I just pray that you will touch each one of them, be their portion through this situation, be what they need to help them through this time of year and to help them through this journey that we're all on together. I pray the same for Helene's family. I pray this for Noelle and for Heather and for Stephen and for Brandon, Lord, that you will just help us through, be our portion, be what we need from you to get us through. And Lord, even if we never see these girls again on earth, we know that you're holding them either here or in heaven, and we praise you for that and we thank you for that. But we still need answers, and tonight we just all humbly ask that you give us the answers we need to bring them home. I praise you and thank you for who you are and for who you are in this situation. You've been so very big, and your presence is known. We just need to make it known to the evil people that are keeping our girls from us. Please give us these answers in your name. Amen.
Amen. Find answers, something.
Someone knows something.
They do.
Too many people know too many things. They just won't speak up.
A mother's relentless search for her missing daughter. Despite wanting to give up, she refuses to stop fighting. We can support her by sharing her daughter's story and contributing to her GoFundMe.